the Parra Cave podcast, proudly brought to you by Rubbish Removal Kings, The Corner Post, Flash Conveyancing, Parramatta Leagues Club, Wine Barrels Event Hire Sydney, and Wick Coffee, proud sponsors of the Parra Cave podcast. Are you looking for the best rubbish collection Sydney has to offer? Then Rubbish Removal Kings is your top choice. They specialise in household rubbish removal, office rubbish removal, and all types of waste removal or junk removal. Comprehensive services cover all areas of Greater Sydney, including Wollongong in the south, Penrith in the west, the entire Sydney metropolitan area, the CBD, North Sydney, and the northern beaches. Choose Rubbish Removal Kings for a rubbish removal near you. Get in touch with them today on 0411 867 719 or contact them through their website www.rubbishremovalkings.com.au. Proud sponsors of the Parra Cave podcast.
Let's go! Welcome back to another show. Hi, how are ya? It's a Parra Cave podcast coming at ya. Turn it up, feel the vibe, blue and gold. Step inside the cave. Yeah. Easy try in the corner. Here's your host, Troy Water. Coming to you live from the world famous Parra Cave.
Hi, how are ya? Welcome back to another episode of the Parra Cave podcast. This is the Sea Eagles vs Eels preview podcast. Here we go again. It's Manly and Parra. Those great ads of the 80s, the Tui's ads, where Mr. Motion comes sliding in. It's great. Go and check them out on YouTube. They are great things. We might even try and get them up on the socials. But anyway, this is the preview podcast. Joining me once again is Ben from the Corner Post. Ben, how are you going, mate? Are you excited for this game against another rival?
Mate, I'm never not excited when it comes to playing Manly. It's always my favourite game of the year when we play Manly.
Right,
I
okay,
don't
interesting.
Yeah, that's my favourite rivalry. So this is the one that I grew up getting told I needed to respect. This is the one that I'll teach my kids to respect. And
Okay,
you know,
interesting.
I know these days it's all about Penrith, but for me it was always all about Manly. And I know probably the previous generation was all about Bulldogs as well. But I don't know. For me, I love to beat the Bulldogs. I love to beat Penrith, but I think Manly's the sweetest of the three. So I'm always looking forward to a game against Manly.
Well, they do. One of the Manly fans, it's a pretty famous flag or sign they have in the crowd. Guess what? Manly hates you too, or something as well. So Manly are one of those sides that other clubs love to hate. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I love beating Manly as well. If the opportunity presents itself, it's just one of those teams that. You beat them in the couple of grand finals, 82, 83, and I guess it stems back further to the 76 grand final as well. Rest in peace, Neville Glover, who just passed away recently. He was in that game, and I do believe that Manly this weekend are celebrating that 50th anniversary of that game, so they might have some old boys back there, and we saw what happened last weekend at Combank Stadium when Parramatta had old boys there. Let's hope nothing like that happens at Manly for Manly, eh?
Yeah, well, that's it. You know what it can be like when you sort of hear the old war stories and you get the old players in there that tell you their stories and they pump you up and they get you ready for the occasion. I guess there will already be a little bit of that going on at Manly with the appointment of Kieran Foran. He's probably been, putting the Manly spirit into the boys, and that's probably what's been propelling them forward anyway, as it is. So I don't know if much will change there in that sense, purely because of the impact already that Florence had. But let's see. You never know. This will be a good win if we can get across the line.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, it is Anzac Round in the NRL this weekend, and Parramatta, they will be wearing their Anzac jerseys. Has the corner post sold out of the Eels Anzac jerseys yet?
Not yet. We've still got a few
Okay,
left, so get in while
okay,
you can and come and grab them while you
right.
can. But
Yeah,
the numbers are limited, so you got to do it fast, folks. Come on.
that's it. That's it. Get down to Westfield, Liverpool. Get those Eels Anzac jerseys because once they're gone, they are gone. And Manly have got an Anzac jersey as well, which I didn't really rate, to be honest, too much. It's very simple, but there is a telling story behind it, and I think it's got to do with Beaver Menzies' grandfather or great grandfather. I do not know the entire story, so apologise to everyone who knows the story. But anyway, that is their jersey, and it looks, I think, pretty sort of simple, maybe clean, but they are still representing the Anzacs as well. Well, Manly and Parramatta. They both entered the competition in the same year, 1947. Now, there's a big debate going on all the time. Manly have got their 80th year celebration logo on their jerseys. Parramatta do not. Now, there is a big debate always every year about this. Is it 80? I'll ask you, Ben. Is it 80 competitions that you've played in? 80 years of competition that you've played in, or is it 80 years as in the date? So for Parramatta, they're obviously going to celebrate that next season with obviously being 2027. So which one is it for you?
Look, for me, it's always been the year of your inception. I don't believe in the theory that you celebrate the year that you began playing in the competition. I think that to me, that to me is more of a. I'm struggling to not use the word anniversary because it is an anniversary as it is. But to me, the the year that you're founded, your birth year, I guess, so let's call it a birthday, just for the sake of the argument.
Yep.
That to me is more important than an anniversary. So the anniversary of the beginning of play, I don't think should override your birth, if that makes sense. I think that's probably how I've always seen it. I've always found it a bit strange that people often celebrate it the other way around. And then it comes when it comes to stuff like this, we get quirky little situations like the one we're having. So I don't know. For me, the number 7 year, I guess we got the 1947 on the jerseys all the time. I guess that's the year that Parramatta have selected to be the one to celebrate. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah, no, that's it. And I think Penrith are celebrating their 60th anniversary or years in the competition as well because they've got that logo as well. But this is Manly and Parramatta. 164 matches these two sides have played, and look, Manly hold the massive advantage, 97 to 63 over Parramatta. But at Brookvale Oval, 4 Pines Park, there's been 71 games there. It used to be Lotto Land. It's now 4 Pines Park. It was Brookvale Oval. I don't know how many other names they've had, but 71 games. And look, Manly do hold a pretty comprehensive lead there. 49 wins to Parramatta's 21. Now, since the NRL started, they've played 47 times, but Parramatta hold the advantage there, 25 wins to 22 for Manly. But at 4 Pines Park, Parra have won Parramatta have won, out of the last 10, I should say, 10 games between these two clubs, either at CommBank or at 4 Pines. Parra have won the last 5 out of 10. At 4 Pines Park, 4 out of the last 10 Parramatta have won. Manly have won the last 3 in a row. So there's some pretty telling statistics there, isn't there?
Yeah, 100%. I think as much as we probably hate to admit it, Manly has probably had the better of the running, given the head-to-head matchups between 1947 to 2026. Look, even their longest win streak, 11 to our 3, it's pretty telling. It doesn't matter which stat that you look at, Manly's usually ahead. But I like to look back at those couple of grand finals that we bested them in, and I think that's where I find my peace in this, I guess, lopsided matchup.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Well, you'd expect the home team to have more of a winning advantage at home, but you mentioned the grand finals there. Are they your favourite Manly Parramatta games, obviously, because of the victories in those grand finals, or is there others that stand out for you?
When I think of the Parramatta Manly rivalry, I think back to the games that I've been to at Brookvale.
Yep.
They're always a standout for me because I enjoy the trip to Brookvale. It's always a nice away trip. I've always found it's never been a bad day when I've been there. I mean, there was one year there it was stifling hot, and we had one year where it was pissing down rain. But other than those two examples, they've usually been a pretty good trip. So win, lose or draw, I've always enjoyed that experience. Games that stand out, we had, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but there was a game where me and a couple of mates snuck our way up into the corporates a few years ago,
nice.
and we had a mate that was working on, I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I will anyway.
Okay.
We had a mate that was working on the door in the corporates, and they decided to let us in and look the other way as we walked in. So that was a cool little fun experience for us. And the corporate box that we were in was on the far corner of Combank Stadium. So when Parramatta scored in
this
the
was at
79th
Parramatta.
or 80th minute.
Jeez.
Yes, yeah, Combank Stadium.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Brookvale.
No, God, no. Mate, I wouldn't go near the corporates of Brookvale. They'd all look up their noses at us. It's all blue collar ones down at Parramatta. That's how we like it. But yeah, no, we're in the in Combank Stadium in the far corner, and I don't remember who scored the game-winning try, but the game-winning try basically happened right under our noses in the 79th minute. So that was a really fun experience, and I always think back to the game where I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Darcy Lussick and Steve Matai having a big punch on in the middle of the field. That's
Mitchell
one that's
Allgood.
always stood out to me. Yeah, Mitch Allgood, sorry, that's right, not Darcy Lussick. I think Darcy Lussick was with a Melbourne player with a punch on,
Yeah, that was
if I'm correct. I know they both had one.
That was the battle of Brookvale, Melbourne Storm, and Manly that night. But yeah, Mitch Allgood got him a beauty actually. Not that we promote that sort of thing, but that's what happened back in the day
mate,
in rugby league. But
I'm a hockey fan, so I've always enjoyed the fighting in sport.
That's it. Well, I think I know which game you're talking about where it was stifling hot. That was, I think, 2018, and Manly got the victory 54-0 in that game.
That's right, that's the one.
Yep, and it was about 45, 47 degrees in the shade. I think the stadium ran out of water, to be honest, and I think also too, I think Mitchell Moses, he got, I think, not only once, I think it was twice he got sin bin, I think, in that game, from memory. But yeah, that wasn't a good memory at all. But a good memory that I can say was 2005 at Parramatta Stadium. It was the semi-final, 46 points to 22. That was a great day. That was the qualifying final. Tamana Tahu got a couple of tries. Eric Growth got a try. Luke Burt, Piggy Riddell, Luke Burt was 7 from 8 in that game, and that was without Nathan Highmarsh as well, who was out injured that day. But yeah, look, there hasn't really been massive standout games between these clubs that I can remember. I mean, at Brookvale Oval, the first ever Golden Point game, unfortunately that was a win to Manly as well. I think that was off Shane Walker's boot. Manly got a penalty.
There's round 14, 2004. We went Manly 52-12 on that day. That's probably a good one.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to talk Manly up too much. I'm trying.
No, that was a Parra win that day, not a Manly win.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, a nice little 40-point win over Manly. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, and of course, there's always the memories as well of Desi Hasler and nearly knocking Jamie Lyon out at Parramatta Stadium with the door coming off the hinges. But look, some great memories
I
there.
always forget that was against Parra. That's one of my favourite moments in rugby league history, but I always forget it was against us.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, what about some of the players? Can you name some of the players off the top of your head that have played for both clubs, Parramatta and Manly? Whether they started at Manly and come to Parra or vice versa?
I definitely can. You've got Brian Kelly at the moment. He's a big standout one.
Yep.
Nathan Brown as well on the other side.
Yep.
We've got Jamie Lyon, who nobody likes to talk about, but we can flip the conversation there and mention Anthony Watmo just to get the Manly fans riled up as well. There's been a fair few. I think who we mentioned earlier, Darcy Lussick, I believe he played for both clubs. There's been a fair few. Will Hopewadi, I think he played for both clubs. Tell me some more. Who else have we got?
Well, you've got Felitti Mateo as well.
Yep.
Tony Melrose back in the day. Peter Peters, the old commentary, the commentator.
Unfortunate name, that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter.
Yeah. We've also got Jeff Robson as well. Obviously, Clint Gutherson. He played for both clubs. Yep. Kalepi Tanganoa, the Tank. Geez,
I used to love him. He was a great player in his day.
Another player who's named on the bench for this weekend, Kelma Tuolangi.
Yep.
And one who's also named to start, but we want him on the bench, Dylan Walker. You mentioned Anthony Watman.
The coach, Kieran Foran.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big one. Kieran Foran, Tony Williams, Michael Witt.
Morgan Harper is another.
Yeah, he's a pretty recent one. I'm just trying to think of some more off the top of my head. Who else springs to mind?
I'm sure there's been plenty more anyway, but it's usually a pretty healthy history of Parramatta and Manly. Yep, there's one.
Chase Blair as well. Mike Eden as well. Now, Mike Eden, he used to be able to kick off both feet, I think it was. Very talented player.
Ambidextrous in the foot.
I've had him.
Sean Lane, he just came to mind for me.
Andrew Davey. You could probably make a team out of these players, to be honest.
Well, it's usually been a pretty healthy history of Parra Manly crossover players, considering the rivalry. So the team that you would be able to make would probably be a pretty handy side, to be honest.
That's it.
Maybe we might do that over the week for the socials. We might. We've got those hats to give away, so maybe whoever can come up with the best 1 to 17 of Parra and Manly players, maybe they can win a hat. How does that sound?
Oh, well, you've put the gauntlet down there. There you go. So there you go, listeners. Ben's put the gauntlet down for you. There's your homework. There's your competition. So if you want to win a Parramatta Eels hat, courtesy of Macron, come up with a 1 to 17 of Parramatta Eels / Manly players. See what you can come up with. And just to give you,
we'll pick out our favourite one and get a little hat out to you, I reckon.
Well, just to give you a bit more of a help, Joe Nullavow as well, Jeff Gerard as well. He played for both clubs. He was the premiership playing. He had the premiership playing record for a long time. David Gower, who's currently at Parramatta.
I forgot about David Gower. He was a good player in his day too.
Yeah. Oh, look, heaps. Ray Higgs, Chris Hicks, and how could we forget?
Here's a famous one for you that never suited up for Manly. One of your very favourite players, traditional Manly fan growing up, Nathan Hindmarsh.
Yeah, no.
I believe he was a Manly fan growing up, if I remember correctly.
Well, you'd think I'd probably know this one. I think he was a Bulldogs fan, to be honest, growing up. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I always knew it was one of the other. It was one of our big rival clubs that he supported. I always thought it was Manly, but you might be right.
Well, the other one...
You know more about Hindy than I do, so I'll trust you on that one.
Well, I hope so. And, of course, shout out to the Levels podcast as well, Justin Hotto. He played for both clubs as well. Look, there's a lot of players there, so I'm dead set sure that. Look, there's one more that you forgot, mate, and you have a close connection with this player. Can't believe you forgot him.
I haven't forgotten him. I just wanted to see if anybody included him in their team list because that's going to
Ah,
give him a big bonus point, I think.
okay. Well, we won't mention him then. We'll
I
let.
don't want to give too many away because I want to see some creative
All
teams
right.
come through. I don't want to just throw a hat out there to anybody, but there is a very good friend of the show and a very good close friend of mine that did play
Okay.
for both clubs.
There we
So
go. We
if
won't
you can
name
name
them.
him in your lineup, it is a bonus point.
Ooh, okay, there you go. There you go. All right, well, that's enough of the history. We've gone on and on about that one. Let's get into the current day game that will be played on Sunday at Four Pines Park. We all still call it Brookvale. 4:05 p.m. The
I
last.
don't think I'll ever not call it Brookvale, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
it's like Shark Park. It's always Shark Park. Well, they've had about 27 different names there, but yeah, 4:05 p.m. It's the last game of the round. Now, obviously, well, look, we won't talk too much about Manly, but they've got Tommy Trbojevic out, which Cooler goes back to fullback, so that's a pretty, you know, well, maybe not a like for like replacement, but a pretty handy replacement to go back to fullback. But let's concentrate on the Eels. Sean Russell comes back into the centre position. Brian Kelly stays on the wing. And the only other change is Kelma Tuolangi is the 18th man on the bench there. So not a lot of changes there for the Parramatta Eels. Now, we've discussed it week in, week out. Dylan Walker is named at lock. We, as fans, I guess, we must be missing something. Maybe there might be a late call to switch, like what happened against the Bulldogs. So I'll ask you that one. Do you think that will happen on the weekend as well? Do you think he's just been named to start, but then we'll swap back to the bench?
I wouldn't put it past Rilesley to have a little mind game trick up his sleeve. Yeah, I do think that'll happen. I mean, I hope it'll happen. I think Dylan had one of his best games of the season coming off the bench last week. And as we've extensively said on this publication, you don't fix what's not broken. So if it worked last week, I think we should keep going with it. And looking over this team list, there is a lot of that going on. Brian Kelly retains his spot on the wing. Joe Ash retains his spot at fullback. Ronald Volkman retains his spot at 5'8". Saxon Pryke retains his spot on the interchange bench. There's a lot of if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I'm not sure why Dylan would be named as the starting lock, if anything other than mind games. So we'll see what happens come kickoff time. Look, I'll back Rilesley on this one. He made some good choices last week, and they all seemed to work out last week. So we'll see what happens, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that's it for sure. Well, as I mentioned, no Tom Trbojevic, but who in the Manly side do you see as a threat to the Parramatta side? Who should Parramatta be looking out for, do you think?
Well, look, Cool is a good young player. He's a player that I really like, and one that, he's got absolute blinding pace. But I don't know about putting him at fullback. I think that's an interesting decision there. So I'll be really interested to see how he goes there, because with the kind of acceleration and burst that guy has, if he gets free of a tackle or two, it's lights out and see you later. So
He has
he's
played
probably
there
one to keep an
before.
eye on. Yeah, I don't know. I like him more in the middle of the park. So I like him in the centres or on the wing. So if you put him next to Jason Saab, who's probably my other player to watch, that's probably the most lethal and quickest right edge combination in all of rugby league history. So that's where I would have had him personally. Not sure who else can fill in for fullback really for them, to be fair, but. Yeah, that's a curious one, but it's definitely one that could work too. So those are probably my two to watch. Obviously, you got Jake Trbojevic as well, and Ola Kawadu's in some good form right now as well. But yeah, I can't go past Cooler and Saab.
Yeah, for me, it's Olakau'atu on the edges. I think he can do some very devastating runs out wide, and we have seen in the past that our edge defence has been a bit poor at times, but also too more of our middle defence as well has been poor with the likes of Harry Grant running up quickly out through there in the Melbourne game. Happy Coruscant as well in the Tigers game as well. So, look, that's something to look out for as well. But I think.
What I'll tell you what, too, while we're looking out for things, shout out to Kieran Foran. He's finally got a photo on the team list sheet. It's been a few weeks coming.
Yeah, well, they've had 3 weeks to get that up, so there you go. So, look, and look, this is he'll be going for his fourth win in a row. Manly have already played 3 games at home and they've lost all 3, so they'll be keen to win this one because they're at home, new coach and 50th anniversary. But look, these two sides, obviously the main difference between these two sides at the moment is Parramatta's defence. They've leaked out 246 points, Manly 140. In terms of points scored, there's only a try difference in it. Sorry, there's 16 points. So what I'm looking at, I thought it was 100 and anyway, my maths is no good at this time of night. But 162 for Parramatta, 178 for Manly, 16 points difference there. So look, very similar in the point scoring. Completion rates are pretty similar: 78 for Manly, 76 for Parramatta. And the average play the ball speed is exactly the same. So that should be something that they're two very sort of similar sides at this point in the competition this year, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking over the stats myself, and as you say, everything is pretty even except for those two big glaring stats in defense. So. Look, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting matchup. It's got all of the components that generally go into a very, very good contest. So I'm really looking forward to it in the sense that if there was ever a time for us to pull a little upset victory out at Brookvale, this would probably be the time. They're rolling pretty well at the moment. They're in some good spirits, they're in some good form, but Parra seem to have just found something in the last week, and I'm really, really interested to see how we respond to the win last week against the Bulldogs. It'll be really telling what kind of a side Parramatta wants us all to believe that they are based on how they play this game. Now, should we go down to Manly and it's a close game, I'll probably be just as proud as if we beat Manly, to be honest with you, because the way that we turned up last week and responded from the Gold Coast game was really, really impressive. And I don't want to keep telling people that ask me every day what, where that was. I don't want to keep having to say it has something to do with the fact that there was a big occasion last week. If we can get over the line against Manly this week, or if we can potentially, still lose the game, but, lose it in a very respectable manner, at least we can say this is the real Parramatta. This is the Parramatta that we expected to see this year, because it is going to be a tough game against Manly. Let's not get that twisted. I just want to see him get out there and compete. I'm not too worried about winning or losing this one. I just want to see him compete. I want to see him play hard, and I want to be able to say that the only reason they beat the Bulldogs wasn't because of the occasion.
You're sounding a little bit like Brad Arthur there. You just want to see that the effort was there. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's it. I want to see that the effort was there. I don't want to see any nepotism babies in my squad, but I do want to see that the effort was there. So I'll give you that one. There's another former Manly one too, Brad Arthur.
Well, yeah, assistant coach.
Maybe
But
he can be the
yeah,
coach of
well,
our
well,
teams.
if you're gonna put that in the competition, there you go, listeners. There's an easy answer for you there. What do you think is key for Parramatta to win this game? I mean, obviously Mitchell Moses' kicking game is key. Outstanding kicking game last week against the Bulldogs, but Jamal Fogarty, he's not too much of a slouch with the kicks either. But obviously, yeah, Mitchell Moses' kicking game, that is key. But for me, it's to get off to that good start again. I think last week they conceded the first try and they had to come back from behind. Won't even worry about the Titans game. But I think also against the Dragons as well, they had to come back from behind as well. So that's key for me for Parramatta to win this game, is to get to that good start, maybe lead from the front. Because we saw in a press conference a couple of weeks ago, Mitchell Moses saying that our starts haven't been the best, and that's what we need to improve on. Is that the same for you? What do you think Parramatta need to do, especially to win this game on Sunday?
Yeah, look, I don't think the starts are all that important. Like you said, the pretty much every game that we've won this year, we've not scored first in anyway. But it is a trend that I'd like to buck for sure. It's not something that I particularly enjoy seeing Parramatta do. I don't like seeing us concede first. I'd love to be able to give out our first try scorer predictions later on in the show and actually get it right in the sense that it's the game's first try scorer rather than Parramatta's one, because we did get one right last week and it ended up being Parra's first try scorer rather than the whole game's one. So a good start is key. It's going to be key. We can't be 20 minutes into the game and be multiple tries down. So I know we bucked that trend last week against the Bulldogs, but for me personally, I want to stick with that. I want to make sure that we roll on with that this week as well. So the 20-minute mark, I want to see us in the game realistically, and I want to see us competing and some hard-nosed footy by that point of the game. So it'll be that opening 20 minutes that tells the tale for me.
Peter Goff is the referee. Grant Atkins is in the bunker as the senior review official. Peter Goff being the referee, does that worry you at all? He was the referee in that Tigers game a couple of weeks ago. Does that worry you at all, or it doesn't matter if Parramatta's doing the right thing, then they will have nothing to worry about?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm going to gamble responsibly, folks, but I'm going to put an over-under of 5 refereeing mistakes in this game. So we'll see how we go with that one. But look, no, he's not my favourite referee. He had an absolute shocker against the Tigers and rightfully got dropped for the next week. So, look, it's interesting that they've put him back on another Parra game, because if he does something to screw us over for the second time in 3-4 weeks, there's going to be some conversations that need to be had. So it's an interesting one. I think if Parra goes out there and competes, does their job, stays out of trouble with the referee, there'll be no need for any controversies. But look, if there's ever a referee to give you a controversy, it's Peter Goff. So see how we go with that one. Fingers crossed that it's an uneventful game on his behalf.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm sure Parramatta fans are hoping the same as well. There's always been some early comments in fan groups saying, "Oh no, we've got Peter Goff as referee. Oh no, here we go." But anyway, let's hope it's a good, fast-flowing game. Who for you in the Parramatta side do you think is the one that is going to be like the game breaker? The one that, I mean, last week it was probably a team effort. There was a few standouts, but who do you think is really going to grab the game and just take it upon themselves, I guess, to a standard and just be that game breaker?
Well, look, I immediately look at the back line when it comes to that question. Sean Russell's coming back after a couple of weeks out. I think he'll want to have a big impact game. He'll want to make a big statement. Josh Adokar probably hasn't been the same player since Sean Russell went out as well. So, look, I think those two probably looking to have a big game. Josh Adokar will be having a really good battle against Jason Saab too. So that's going to be probably a bit of a heavyweight battle there. And I imagine there'll be some fireworks between those two. And maybe a foot race or two. That'll be interesting to see
Ooh,
as well.
yeah, we'll see that one
Um,
because that's what everyone's been wanting to see, isn't it? A foot race between those two.
yeah, well,
Hopefully,
hopefully it's
with
Josh with the ball and not
yeah,
Jason, but
I was
that'll be
just about to say
good.
that. I was just about to say
um,
that.
But look, for me, it's my man Brian Kelly. He's playing his former side. I know he's playing his former side a couple of weeks ago and didn't have the best of days, but I did think he was probably one of the best Eels on ground on the day anyway. Not that there was too many of those against the Titans, but he is a former Manly player, and I'm sure there'll be a few familiar faces at the club that he wants to get one up. So I'm well, let's just put it down to the back line in general, but I'm hoping to see some big games out of Kelly, Sean, and Josh.
From memory, I think the left-hand side of Parramatta has been exposed by Manly in the past. Ruben Garrick, he seems to love playing against Parramatta. He'll either get some tries or cause some breaks or whatever. But then you got the
Well, they'll
speed.
be on Will Penasini, so that'll be interesting to see as well. That's another good little match up.
Yeah, I thought Will went really well last week. Had one of his better games. He's only his second game back from injury, but yeah, he ran the ball hard and obviously scored that try. And I thought he had a really good game last week. But interesting to see how many minutes Riley Smith gets this week as well. There was that little bit of talk about his sternum injury, but he should be right to go. Do you think he'll get a lot of minutes at all, or how long do you think he'll play before we see Talon de Silva come on?
Well, I love Riley. He's my favourite player in the team. Obviously, Maltese lad. It's big points up for me if you come from a country that one of my family members is from. But I'm quite surprised that he is starting at hooker this week because Talon has had a pretty good last few weeks, and he's probably got to have been knocking on the door for the starting hooker spot at this point because Riley, as much as I love him, probably hasn't had the best couple of weeks himself. So very, 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 very surprised to see that was one of the changes that they didn't make. But look, like I said, I love Riley Smith, and I do hope that he's going to be our permanent long-term hooker. So hopefully he turns it around this week, and we finally get one of those great performances out of him that we're used to seeing now. But look, it is a curious one for me. Were you surprised to see Riley named as the starter?
No, not really. I thought, yeah, he'll get named as starting. I don't know.
To answer your question, by the way, I reckon 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know yet when Talon will start a game. I think they'll just leave it at the moment as it is. I mean, I love both players, but it's hard to know who's going to be better to start and who's going to be better not to start. I think Riley's good to
Could it
start
be a
because
case with Talon like it is with Dylan Walker, where he's just a better impact player off the bench?
potentially yes. Yeah, definitely. I think I think Riley's good there at the start just to put those pressures on the kickers and things like that. In those initial minutes, and obviously his defence as well, because we know he can tackle his butt off. But I don't think that'll change too much, if ever. Well, not at the moment, anyway.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's the 1% of things for me that Riley does that gets him that starting spot whenever I'm picking a team list. But speaking of picking team lists, do you think this is potentially our backline for the rest of the season? Besides, obviously, Joash coming out once Iongi's back healthy again. Do you think this is our optimum backline? Because I think since putting Brian Kelly on the wing, we've looked a lot better in attack, and I quite like Will and Sean where they are. And obviously, you're not going to move Josh Adokar. So, do you maybe entertain bringing Simonson back in? Well, I mean, he's not going to come back in this season because I think he's out for the year. But had he been healthy, or had we had one of those young kids come up, do we move Brian Kelly, or is he probably locked down that spot now?
I think he's locked down that spot now. Obviously, with Bailey unfortunately going down, which is a shame to see because he had a couple of good games there at the start of the year. And he's been, I think, injury riddled the last couple of years as well, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I think he's locked down that spot. It's not his favourite position. I spoke to him on Friday night at the
Plays
gala.
well there.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Bit of a Lomax situation, that one.
Yeah, I spoke to him on Friday night at the gala dinner, and obviously he said centre's his favourite position, but he's happy to play winger. He hasn't played fullback since under 20s days, so that's been a while. So no, I think he has locked down that position. I think, yeah, you'll find Joe Ash will go back to the extended bench, I think, when Isaiah comes back.
You think Volkman stays at 6?
Well, he's certainly making a case for it at the moment. I mean, I'm not too sure how
If
far.
I'm being honest, I like him better there than Pezzett.
Yeah, well, he certainly is making a case for it at the moment. So it will be interesting to see what happens when Jonah does come back. I think that's in about another 4 weeks or so. But yeah,
What does Ronald have to do in the next 4 weeks to keep that spot?
Win games. If Parramatta
Fair.
win games, he'd be very hard done by if Jonah just comes straight back into that number 6 jersey. Because I'm of the adage, and I'm no coach. If you're winning games, then you just stick to the same team. It's obviously working, so that's what I would do. And it is coming towards the middle of the season. We all know that Jonah's moving on next year to Brisbane. We're not too sure what Ronald's doing next year as well, but so he's certainly making a case for it at the moment, and he's given Jason Riles a bit of a headache to make that decision.
Well, what about Talatena? If Ronald ends up staying on and becomes the permanent number 6 for this season, and then he re-signs into next season, are we looking into the halves market? Are we looking to bring up Talatena? Are we looking to bring up? I mean, we've just lost Arpa Twiddle, which is a big loss. He was probably another one of those players that would have been challenging for that number 1 spot with Iongi being out, or challenging for that other wing spot over Brian Kelly as well. He would have been also an option for the halves. He's played pretty much anywhere from 1 to 6, that kid. So 1 to 7 even. I think he's even played halfback. So look, would you feel hard done by if you're Lorenzo and they keep Volkman on, or do we think there's a progression plan there that Volkman just doesn't fit into? Or do we look into the market?
I don't think we'll look into the market. I think there is a progression plan for Lorenzo moving forward. That has been all the talk in previous months, especially the talk about Jonah moving to Brisbane next season. So I think maybe this season he might get a couple of games at the end of the year, potentially in first grade. We'll just have to wait and see the position of where the Eels are in this competition. But I think at the moment, Ronald's just in front of him because he's the experienced one out of the two in first grade, and the natural progression. And Mitchell Moses has come out and said that he likes Ronald as a 5'8" next to him. So
look, I think that's the big thing too. It's the fact that Ronald's presence on the field has unlocked Mitchell Moses more. I think that's the big thing for me of why I would keep selecting Ronald and not go back to Pezzett or not move on to Lorenzo, because you need your best player on the field to be firing. And if it takes putting Ronald there to make him fire, I'm taking that every day of the week.
Yeah. Well, I've just checked out the weather forecast for Sunday at Brookvale Oval, and it's 15 degrees to 23 degrees, fine and sunny. So here's hoping that we'll see a fast track and some open football being played. Let's get into our predictions. Now, this first prediction, might be very easy or it might be very hard. I don't know because I'm talking about the crowd predictions because it is a sellout apparently. Now I do not know how many people Four Pines Park holds because there would be a lot of people standing on that hill. I won't be. I'll be there. So come and say hello to me if you see me there. But I won't be on the hill. I'll be up in the stand somewhere. So I'll be sitting down. But
Well, I'll give you a bit of a stat here just to help you out before you do give me an official number. The crowd record is 27,655. That was Manly against Parramatta in 1986. Modern capacity records are 20,163, Manly versus the Bulldogs in 2006. So your number probably shouldn't be higher than 20. And that's the little bit of advice that I'll give you before you give me a number. Because you are winning this battle between us so far. I think it's 3-1 so far.
okay, so I need to extend the lead here. To be honest, but that 1986 game, I think that was the game that Parramatta won to win the minor premiership that year.
It was late August, so that would probably track.
Yeah, so they won everything that year, but I think I remember that. Them winning that one. Crowd figure. Okay, I will say now. Okay, I don't know. I don't know the capacity. It is sold out. I will say 18,773.
18,373.
773.
773. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Mine starts with a 1-9. Personally, I think we're going to get into the 19s here.
Okay.
I'm going to say 19,300 and just for the fun of it, 86. Good year that one, 86.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got about a 500 odd person difference.
Okay. Yep.
And I do happen to know that the corporates are going to be well stacked this weekend, so that could help me in my little quest here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Thanks to Sean from Macron for that little bit of information. The corporates are fully booked out. I did try to see if I could weasel my way in there, but it didn't quite work out. So
You just need to know someone on security, and then you'll be able to get in.
well, that's it. I know all the Combank ones. I don't know any of them at Manly. So all my friends are blue collar. They're not Silvertails. So you know.
Right. Let's go for a score prediction. What do you got? Who's going to win this game? What's the score going to? Excuse me. What's the score going to be?
I hate to tell you, Parra fans, but I've tipped Parra this week. I've not gone with the old reverse curse hoodoo. I'm going to see if I can retire that because I'm sick of not picking Parra and getting shit for it. So I'm going to say, I like a 32. 32 sticking in my head. I'm going to say 32-18.
32.
Or is that what I gave you last week? I think that was what I said last week. So it actually ended up being right too. Anyway, so you know what? I'll say 32. Let's call it a close one. 32-26.
Interesting. Who's your first try scorer?
I'm going to steal yours this week. I like Will Penasini.
Right. Okay. Yep. I might not have went him, but that's okay. You can have Will.
Well, you usually do.
Yeah, I know.
Usually you
but
go
that's
to when you can't think of one on the spot.
Yeah, but that's just for a bit of fun. But no, you can have Will. Okay, I will go a score of. Look, I reckon Parramatta might really turn it on here, and Sean will probably call me crazy, but I'm going to say 42-24.
Ooh, okay.
Excuse me.
I don't know about that one. I think I might win this one this week. I mean, I'd love it if you're right.
Yeah.
I would love it if you're right, but I don't know. I think we're maybe missing a little bit of firepower to get up into the 40s, but we'll see.
Well, we did score 38 last week, so you never know what could happen there. But I will go for Brian Kelly to score the first try. How's that?
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Yep, there you go.
Sounds good to me. Kelly against his former club. I like it.
Yep. I always like it when players play against their old club. They seem to step it up, but as you mentioned, not a couple of weeks ago. But that's in the past. We've forgotten about that game. Look, I will
Well, life's
be.
full of second chances, and he's going to get a second chance at it. So let's see. Let's hope you're right.
That's it. That's it. Well, I will be there at 4 Pines somewhere. So if you do see me, come and say good day, have a chat, get a picture, whatever. We'll have a chat about the game. I'm hoping to maybe catch up with some Manly fans, unfortunately, but to say hello. But it could be a long drive and a long drive home again, but he's hoping it's not. He's hoping it's a great drive home. Yeah, I think that 2018 game might have been the last time I did actually go to Brookvale Oval, actually. So at least it's not going to be 43, 47 degrees that day, so on Sunday. So I will be there. Come and say good day. Would love to meet some more listeners of the podcast. Ben, where you be watching the game, mate?
I'm still undecided if I'm going to try to get a ticket or not.
Right.
I do believe they are all gone anyway, so I'm probably too late for that one. But my stepdad Phil, he's a big Manly fan, so he'll be wanting to watch it somewhere, regardless of if we go or not. Might be a backyard bonfire one, or it might be a pub steak game. We'll see how we go, I reckon.
Yeah, yes, no doubt. It will be very interesting in your household then with, the friendly rivalries between each other there, especially...
Well, we caught him in an Eels jersey last week, so, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was because he was told to do that, told to wear that. It'll be interesting.
Can never make me do it.
Well, I think Manly's playing Parramatta at Combank this year, I think, maybe
We are, I believe.
Okay, so that'll be interesting to see what he wears then.
Yeah, we'll see if we can't get a little friendly side bet going on with Macron for that day as well, and we can't try to convince him to pop up into the corporates of a Parra jersey on. Might give Sean a heart attack, I reckon, if we can pull that one over the line. But nevertheless, we'll see how we go.
That's it. Well, enjoy the game. Nevertheless, it'll be great. That's the Eels versus Sea Eagles preview podcast done. We will be back next week to do the review of this game and the review of the NRL. Please give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook, and also on Apple and Spotify as well. That would be most appreciated indeed. Thank you once again, Ben, for joining me, and enjoy your Anzac round of football.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Go the blue, go the gold, go the Eels. Our story